So, what we got? Anybody?
0.
Let's see here. No, that's not where I want to go. My videos. There we go. Oh, we got 2 people. Of course, one of those could be me. 3. And who? Ian's here. Hello, all. Full of man flu. Hope you are fine. Oh, too bad, Ian, that you're sick. Hi, Susie. So we'll just give it a couple of seconds here for some more to tune in. And we're right on time. So that's good. Let's see. So Ian's here. Sue's here. Nari, she's gone off to work because it's 7 o'clock in the morning in Australia on a Monday. Craft and Betty's here. Hi, Craft and Betty. And that's Bev. Craft and Bev, I mean, yeah. And let's see what we got. 3. So just a couple of more seconds.
4.
We're at 4. So who is number 4? Can everybody hear okay? And see all right? Okay, so yeah, Bev says I hear you fine. Okay, and what's that?
Shave.
Oh well, as if anybody can tell that you forgot to shave. It's like down to your knees. Catherine's here. Hi, Catherine. Ian says sound and vision are fine, and so does Sue. Sue says looking and sounding good here. Okay, so welcome, and more people will probably join us as we get on. But so, hope everybody's had a good week, and if you're asking, show them the bottle. What we're drinking.
We're drinking Prosecco.
Well, Prosecco today. Usually Champagne Fridays, but not this week. What did we do Friday?
We had champagne.
Oh, we had champagne on Friday too. Oh, it's well, a day without champagne is a day without sunshine.
Wow. Frizzy wine.
Yeah, Lindsay's here.
Fizzy wine.
And so hi, Lindsay. Okay, so what's going on? Well, last night, we'll start off with, we bought some things last night. We bought a lot of things this week, actually. But last night was RMG Exposed. What RMG Exposed is, it's the art gallery that we both volunteer for, the Robert McLaughlin Gallery. That's what RMG stands for. And last night was their most significant fundraiser of the year called RMG Exposed. And what they do is they auction off, both in silent auctions and in live auctions, pieces of photographic art. And they had some really great pieces there this year. They make a lot of money from them. So they had about, what'd they have, 8 pieces for the silent auction, or 10? 8 or 10?
No, that's not silent auction.
Or not
They had
silent.
40 for the silent auction.
That's
They had
right.
8 for the live auction.
Yeah, okay, for live auction. So they had some interesting pieces. So those of you that are from Canada or probably North America probably know of the group Tragically Hip. They're a Canadian group. Their lead singer, what's his name?
Gord Downie.
Gord Downie. He just passed away a few weeks ago. He had terminal brain cancer. But they're one of the top musical groups in Canada and actually in North America as well. Well, there's a photographer who specializes in taking pictures of all of his hats and his shoes and his outfits, because I guess he's got some really
outlandish outfits.
I never really followed the Tragically Hip.
Neither did I.
So I'm not that clear on them. I know who they are, but anyways, this photographer donated a #1 print of
one of a kind
print of the hat that's iconic to, what's his name again?
Gordon Downie, I think.
Gord Downie. Anyways, so that was the big ticket item for the night. I think it went for over $3,100.
It went 3,500.
Oh, did it get to 3,500? Yeah, it started off a little slow, but then it got higher and higher. So that was
There were a couple of people that just wanted it like
Yeah.
crazy, so they were sort of fighting for it. So
And there was a lot of actually really neat pieces there as well. But then they had the silent auction, and there's about 40 pieces. So Walter and I both bid on several of those pieces, and we actually managed to win. So the one that I won is this one by a Canadian photographer. It's called Three Sisters. It's a nature one, but his stuff is very interesting in the way that it's got that antique look to it.
a
That kind
lot
of
of the pictures have been electronically modified to make them look a little bit less like photographs.
Yeah. So this one. So I really like this one. I paid 120 for it, which isn't bad. Considering a lot of the other artwork was going for a lot
The ones
more.
at
too.
auction, several of them went for well over $1,000.
Yeah.
The Downey one went for 3,500. There was a great big huge print that we both really liked, but it went for 1,600.
Yeah.
But actually, it would have been too big to hang anywhere in the house.
Yeah, it was gigantic.
Like, I mean, I kept saying to him it was gigantic, and he wouldn't believe me because we're in this huge room at the art gallery, and it didn't look that big. But when I actually measured it, it was massive.
And this is the one Walter bought. Speaking of big, this one's fairly big, and it's actually a spiral staircase in some place in London, looking up the top, but.
And it's been modified. The color's been modified, or it's not black. It's black and white, but the contrast has been modified on it.
And you paid what, 130?
130, yeah.
With that. So we got these two pieces of art for about $240. And of course they're not framed, they're matted. So now it'll probably cost us just as much to get them framed. Of course, this one Walter wants to put downstairs in our rec room on the big accent wall that's our fireplace is mounted on, which he won't allow me, since the day we have to put anything up on that wall. So now he's decided this is where that's going to go. Fine. It'll look fine there. And
I don't know. You like it enough.
Oh
don't
yeah, I
you?
do.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
it'll look good there, and it's very contemporary.
Well, yeah,
and-
because our downstairs is kind of contemporary anyway, and the fireplace that's going above is a contemporary gas fireplace. So it's a brushed stainless steel rim around it. So it's and it's not. It's sort of mounted lower mid wall, so it's not like your typical fireplace that's right down on the against the floor.
Yeah. Ian says do something simple with the frame. Yeah, that's what I have in mind, but I'm just thinking maybe we should have it in a stainless steel frame.
No, it
Flat-
could
no?
be. I had thought of that, but then I thought maybe you're matching it to the fireplace.
Yeah.
I think it should be something to contrast with the artwork itself.
Well, yeah, true. So, well, you're talking about a black
I
frame.
was thinking black.
Yeah, whatever. So, but yeah, I think both pieces. I think mine. I want it in a simple frame too. I don't want anything too elaborate
No.
from it. But anyway, so yep, we have purchased art that is signed, and
Which is unusual because last year we went and we didn't buy anything.
no.
There wasn't really anything last year that really grabbed
No.
me, except for the ones that you had to bid on, and they all went for far more than I was willing to pay. So,
Of course, it might have also.
now
been,
mind you, the ones that you could bid on were already framed. So,
It could have also been that, like, the wine was free, so, after a few glasses, you kind of get a little looser about doing these kind of things. It's quite an affair. Tickets are like $50 a person if you buy them early, or if you're a member, more members, of course, or $60 a head. And there was over 400 people there last night, so, do the math on that one. Plus, they sold... Well, the live auction came out to about $8,500 for the 8 pieces that they put up for the auction there, and heaven only knows how much they got out of the other 40 pieces, and they were selling on an average of about $150 to $200 a piece, some more, some slightly less. So They do pretty good at this. I would estimate, a conservative estimate would be that last night probably they brought in about $20,000. I think they may have brought in a little bit more
No,
than
you
that.
said ticket sales alone would have been 20,000. Of course, they had food and.
Well, yeah. Well, however that all worked.
So I was thinking it was more like 30,000.
Well, maybe. The more the better, because that's basically the money that keeps the art gallery going for a year, because they don't charge admission prices or anything like that. It's all free. They do take donations, and they do get grants from different things. They're constantly grant writing to get grants, but it costs a lot of money to run something like that. So anyways, looks like we've got other people who have joined us, so let me just back up here for a second and see who we've got. Ooh, got a lot of people. Okay, so said hi to Catherine and Bev and Ian and Sue and Lindsay. And Katie is here from Colorado. And Sandy Barmy, Nan. Hello, Stephen and Walter. Everyone, I've been watching for some time but never say anything. Thought it about time I said hello. Yes, Sandy, I'm glad that you did say hello. And Melly's here. Melia. Someday I'm going to get your name right. I'm just going to call you Ms. Finland from now on. And Anita from Ohio is here. And who else is here? Dorothy's here. And let's see. Just trying to catch up with you guys. Katie says, you guys got nice pieces. Well, thank you. And I thought the art was really lovely, too. Debbie's here. And Anita says, yes, the more wine and the later it gets, the higher the bids go. Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah, actually, there was a young couple that we met the wife earlier this week, and we just met them there last night, and she said that they had just gotten married in September, and they had just bought a house, and
they didn't have any art in their walls.
And they have any art in their walls, and so they bid. Her husband bid $1,600 for one of the great big huge piece of art,
and she was kind of not happy.
And she was not happy about it.
But I said to her, craft dinner's on sale at Walmart. A couple of years on just that, and you've paid for the painting or for the photograph. Somebody new here, I think, Sam. Welcome, Sam. And Ian says, on the subject of buying paintings, what are your feelings on the recent $450 million Leonardo da Vinci painting? I don't have any feelings about that, Ian.
Actually, I'm not sure. I don't think I heard that.
Yeah, I did. I saw it on the news, and it's one of Christ and something. Well, I like Leonardo da Vinci, but then who doesn't? I'd like $450 million too. I'll tell you what I'll do. People, let's start the bidding. Let's go low. Started at $350,000 or $350 million. Okay, for this piece, no problem. Includes postage. I'll even get a nice frame. Okay, for it. So just feel.
I don't know if there's enough money to spend, then they can spend that on a painting, I guess.
I just can't.
I don't know. I mean, it's an amount of money that's beyond my my comprehension.
Who has that kind of money? And how did they get it? I mean, that's something else. Actually, I think really something like that should not be in a private collection. I think something like that should really be at the Louvre or someplace for public display. Now, maybe it is going to be put on public display. I don't know, because, of course, I think this buyer was anonymous. Yeah. So who knows? It could have been a corporation that bought it as well, or whatever. But I don't know. It's it's a Leonardo da Vinci, and it looks very typical Leonardo da Vinci. And I don't know that much about Leonardo da Vinci's art, but I mean, we've all seen the Mona Lisa. And we've all seen, The Last Supper and all that stuff. So I think it's typical Leonardo da Vinci. let's see, what do we got here? Laugh out loud, thank you, Sam. Been lurking for a while. Sam's been lurking for a while. Well, stop lurking, Sam. We don't like lurkers. We want everybody to participate.
Sounds like a porn site.
What does?
Lurkers.
Lurkers. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Ian says it's rich people that buy that. Oh, Mila says, Stephen, could you please show those artworks again? Didn't see those. Yep. So the first one, this is called Three Sisters. It's a Canadian. Well, they're both Canadian. But it's a very nice one. I can move it up a little closer so you can get a little better look. Keep the glare off. It's still in the plastic and everything. But I think it's really nice. The one that I really liked, it bid too high. I couldn't afford it. It was kind of a cool one though as well. And then we found out later that one, which I don't have a picture of it to show you, was actually done by a young photographer who lives in a place just slightly north of us. And it was, I think, his first time.
Yeah.
And then the biggie that Walter bought, who's this by? Dave McIver. It's called Solar System.
Yeah.
But apparently,
It's a staircase in a hotel in London.
yeah.
England.
And of course, he's enhanced it or changed things digitally as well with it. But it's hard to keep the glare off.
Actually, looking up. You pull it up so that.
Yeah, well, now we have shadow.
Oh, okay.
So that's about the best I can get in this
Yeah.
situation. But it is quite neat. And it is very contemporary, and I think it'll look very nice over top of the fireplace downstairs in the rec room. Once we get them framed. And we're looking for a framer now.
Yeah, a lot of the framer I used to go to is out of business, and so I have to figure out other than Michael's. I think I'd rather go to a place other than Michael's. So
Yeah, well, Michael's, I don't trust
I
them.
don't know. A lot of the help there don't seem to know anything.
Well, that's not unusual with Michael. So I was just writing down here because Sandy is from the UK as well. Why do we have all these pens in here and none of them right?
Well, they all right. It's you picked the wrong one.
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you usually steal all the pens and no
Well,
one
I
can find
didn't
them.
steal them. They're all there.
Yeah, right. So I'm just writing that down. And she's from... What part of the UK, Sandy, are you from? And... just trying to catch up here. Sorry, people. B says there's some question about authenticity. It's authenticness.
Authenticity.
That's the word I'm trying to say. Yeah, that's the one about the Leonardo da Vinci. Yeah, there probably is. And Debbie really likes Three Sisters. And let's see. How's your weather? Okay, so I'm looking at the thing for real. Anita asks, how's your weather in Canada? We had a beautiful Thanksgiving weekend here in Ohio. Go Ohio State football. It's been great.
Yesterday wasn't. Was it the other day? Was it Friday or yesterday? I can't remember. I think yesterday it was rainy, and it was about 10 degrees Celsius, which I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit. And Friday it was about 10, but it was sunny, and it was kind of nice.
Yeah.
And then today I think it's around 3 degrees.
It hasn't been terribly cold.
No.
Yet, but it's
no,
still...
I mean, Friday was actually kind of nice. I hung Christmas lights up that day.
Yeah, but anyway, so... okay, so let's move on. Last week we were talking about cheese cookies. And Walter finally made some cheese cookies. And could have shown them to you, except we ate them. They're gone.
Are they all gone?
Well, I don't know. Is there still one in the thing? Up on the top? Take a look.
There's 2 left. I made them kind of thin this time, but they were good.
That's
Here's
what
a
a cheese
cheese
cookie looks
cookie.
like. And they're very cheesy, and they're very good. I just love them. Thing is, with those cheese cookies, you can eat them by the handful.
And they're very simple to make.
And not low fat.
definitely. Yeah, I know. I know the recipe off by heart. If you're it's a Dutch recipe, so everything has to be weighed. So it's 100 grams. When I made a double recipe, so I did. It's 100 grams of butter, 100 grams of flour, and 100 grams of extra old cheese. And you just mix it all together, shred the cheese, of course, and mix it all together, and then you have to cool it first, and then you slice it up into cookies, and you put it in the oven and bake it at, I think, 250 for about half an hour. Maybe, I think I did about 40 minutes. And, you gotta add a pinch of baking soda to it to make them crispy.
Okay, they're cookies. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, Anita says, they say we're going to hit high 50s by Wednesday. That's in Ohio. Yes, we put up our outdoor lights too. Yeah, we put up our some of them. Walter hasn't finished yet, and next week I have to start on putting.
I actually hung some on the garage this year because I haven't done it for several years because after the last time I did it, the ladder slid out and I hit the pavement.
Yeah.
And I have a fear of heights to begin with.
Yeah. So
I didn't hurt myself though.
No. Jeez. Damn. Okay. Still not gonna get that money. Let's see here. I'm
checking the temperature here.
I'm trying to catch up here with people.
2 degrees Celsius.
And where Katie lives in Colorado, it's 73 there today.
No, it's supposed to be 13 on Tuesday.
And okay, so shoot. Debbie says we had cheese scones and thought of you the other day from Marks and Spencer's. Yeah, I love Marks and Spencer's cheese scones.
Oh yeah, they were good.
Yeah, that's because we got those every day, so we'd have them for our brekkie in the morning before we'd head out. And then why am I having trouble remembering people's names today? Anita says, I had never heard of Turkish Delight until your London stream. Just had friends try to make it. A disaster. I tried to make it once too. You're supposed to use actual real Turkish Delight uses rose water. And no, mine came out as a disaster as well. Haven't had any good Turkish Delight since I was a kid. I don't know, maybe everything tasted better when you're a kid. And that's how you remember it. But every place we go that I see Turkish Delight.
Well, I think now.
Why do you keep cutting me off today? Today, you're just. Why don't we call this the Walter Live Show?
Go away.
Oh, go away. Yeah, where am I going to go? But anyways, what were you going to say?
I think they're all made with gelatin now, and the original Turkish Delight is not made with gelatin, and they use a process to make it thick. I'm not exactly sure. I read the recipe a long time ago, but I'm not sure how it was done. And the non-gelatin Turkish Delight melts in your mouth, whereas the gelatin Turkish Delight
you can blow a bubble in it.
Rubbery.
Even the Turkish Delight from Turkey.
In Turkey is used gelatin.
Is rotten as well because I bought some in Istanbul. So when we were there a few years ago. So anyways, yeah, well that's cheese cookies, and then today Walter made something from another new appliance. We bought a new bread maker. We had a bread maker before, and we've had it for quite a few years, and it still works okay, but it makes the loaves vertically. This new one does it horizontally and makes a little bigger loaves. So this afternoon, or today, he decided to make banana bread.
Yeah, we had a couple of bananas that were beginning to go, and that's usually a good time to make banana bread.
Show them banana bread. Show them our loaf.
My loaf.
Your loaf. Actually, I had a little bit of it to taste it, and it actually turned out pretty good. So there it is. Walter's banana bread. Now show them the bottom side. Banana bread with 2 holes. Because that's where the blades go in the bread maker. So you have these little holes in the bottom. In our old bread maker, the hole was on the end.
I've never actually used the bread maker to make a banana loaf before, but this one makes you a loaf horizontal. So I thought, and they have a setting for it, and I thought, well, let's give that a try. I don't know if it really saves any more time or anything like that, but it's kind of nice that I know what it made, and it did a really nice job. So
Yeah. So Miss Purple Potato is here. Hello, Jody. And she says, greetings everyone. This is Jody from Parker, Colorado. Love your channel, Stephen, and the addition of Walter is great. On some days. He's just getting a little bit too full of himself now as a celebrity on YouTube. Really. Okay, yeah, and Anita says, I see you have the Instapot. How do you like it? Walmart had them on Friday for $49.
well, first we saw on the news that these things were there, and then a store that's popular in Canada had them, Canadian Tire, and so I said to Steve, you want to get one? And he said, no, we got 3 slow cookers. What do we need another one for? So later that night I went out and got one anyway.
Yeah, he bought one anyways. But it's a pressure cooker.
It's a pressure cooker. It also has a slow cooker function, and it'll saute. So and there's other stuff that you can do. Supposedly you can make yogurt and all this other stuff, but I don't think I'd go that extreme to do that. But we've only really made one thing in it, and I was going to make something tonight. I was going to try beef bourguignon tonight, and I've never had a pressure cooker before, so this is kind of all new to me. So
He made Indian food the other night with it for the first time, and actually it turned out pretty good.
yeah,
He just stuck to the recipe
that they had. Now I'm using what was it? Not Adam Benoit. What's it? Julia Child's beef bourguignon recipe right now.
Oh, you're doing Julia's?
Yeah. So
She's dead.
So we'll see how that turns out.
Bubbly.
I think I'm going to do a combination of the pressure cooker and maybe finish it off on slow cooker mode for about an hour or something.
It seems, though, to work really well. And it's not, as they claim on the advertisements, this is not your grandmother's pressure cooker, so you don't have to be fearful of it blowing up. It's got a lot of controls on it for safety features and things like that, and it seems to do a really good job.
Well, so far we've only used it once so far, but actually one thing that I kind of like about it is it's a saute feature on it where you can cook all your onions and stuff like that in the pot, and then just sort of dump everything else in and use it that way. Whereas you don't have to use a separate pan to do the saute and things like that. So we'll see how that goes.
And Jody wants to know, does Walter do all of the cooking or most of the cooking? My answer to that is, when he cooks, it's less frequent than when I cook. Although now that he's been retired and he's home all day,
I have been cooking a little
he has
more.
been doing a little bit more, which I kind of like. But no, we both kind of equally share.
Each have our strengths. I make certain things and he makes certain things.
Yeah, we each have our strengths.
And-
I'm surprised you're not going to say your strength is your stuff tastes okay, mine's lousy. That would be my strength. Yeah, no. I can cook. I don't do. He's really good at doing stuff that's, pastry kind of, dessert kind of things, cakes and pies and stuff like that. I'm not so good at those. I'm better at the main course kind of stuff and stuff like that. But I do like to experiment. And my favorite food group are tortilla shells. Because when in doubt, you can have burrito surprise, which is usually whatever's left over in the fridge wrapped up with cheese in it, in a burrito surprise.
Yeah, so we both have our and there's a few crossovers, like he'll make lasagna and I'll make lasagna, but I make lasagna different than he makes lasagna. So.
Yeah, well, right.
And I'll make fresh pasta once in a while.
Oh, yeah, he's got a pasta maker, yeah. And what was it? Oh, you made samosas there a week ago or so.
Yeah, and I do cabbage rolls and stuff.
Yeah, whatever. I'm just catching up here on what people are saying. Jody says, yes, he, meaning you, is certainly a celebrity and it's fun getting to know him. He's yours. Sandy loves listening to...
I could say the same about
both
you.
of us. Yeah, I know. Bite me. And that was, what are you boys drinking today? Melly wants to know?
Prosecco.
Prosecco.
It's a Maionetto Prosecco.
It's Italian, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah. And Anita says, I love Julia, just drink another glass of wine when cooking. Yes. Oh, yes, we'll put a little bit in here with that stuff all duck and our turkin, and we'll roll it up a piece of ham, and let's have another drink. Oh, it's all so good. She was probably half pickled by the time those shows finished taping, I'm sure. I used to love watching her, though, because I always thought she was funny, and I don't think she was intending to be funny. Dorothy says, I always wanted a pressure cooker, but I'm afraid of them. Yeah, I was always afraid of them. My mother would never have one. My grandmother, she had like the old time pressure cookers, and I remember as a kid she used to do her mashed potatoes and everything like that in the pressure cooker. I don't really remember if she ever did meat in them or not.
Actually, with these, apparently the standard old pressure cookers, the pressure is 15.
Spit it out.
15 pounds per square inch, and these are 10 to 12 pounds per square inch, so they don't have as much pressure, so they cook a little slower. But so I read up on them a bit, and they have extra supposedly mechanisms, though apparently there have been some accidents from other manufacturers. I don't know about this one, but it's basically people not following the rules, like trying to. This one's supposed to, and all of them are supposed to have a safety feature that if there's still pressure, you can't unscrew the lid, right? But apparently there have been a couple of where they've unscrewed the lid where there's still pressure, and that's when basically you get a huge rush of steam.
Yeah. Well, and it has a steam release on the back of it, and the trick there, we watched a whole pile of YouTube videos on people that have these and tips they had. And one of the good tips is, before I saw this tip, there's a quick release valve on the top of it for letting out the steam really quickly, or you can leave that after the cooking time is done, and it takes about 20 minutes or so for it to seep out on its own. But as soon as you release that valve, the jet of steam that goes up, it'll go right to your ceiling.
A lot of it, and it is hot. You're not supposed to touch.
No, you get a steam burn out.
You burn, right?
But this one woman showed a tip, and it works really well. You take a tea towel, fold it over a couple of times, put it over top of the valve before you release it, then release it, and all the steam just goes into the towel, so it's not like all over your kitchen.
And actually that seems to work pretty good.
Yeah, and also she also said that there is a chance, depending on what you're cooking in it, that within that steam there could be some of the food or liquid or whatever you've got in there, and
if you fill it too full,
if it blows it out, and so of course the tea towel will catch that too, because who wants that all over your?
Yeah, there's certain foods. There's a list of foods that they recommend you not cook in it, like split peas and I think some pastas and stuff like that produce a lot of foam, and they don't recommend you do that because it can clog up the vent. But it's not a long list; it's a very small list. But as I said, if you can do it in certain recipes, like there's a recipe in there where they mix tomato sauce with pasta, and I guess that's okay. So.
Yeah, and I'm just looking here. Anita says, I remember my grandmother's pressure cooker had a top piece that rattled, and I was always afraid it was going to blow up. Yeah, my grandmother had one like that too. And there was these big, heavy metal valve-like things you put over top of the steam hole, and that kept the steam in, but it just sat there by the weight. And then I remember her, when she was finished cooking, she would take a tea towel or oven mitts or something and grab that thing and pull it off, and the steam would just go right up. And she had like 10-foot ceilings in her kitchen. She had a really old house, and that was what the ceilings were like, and it just goes straight up with it.
Yeah, well, and these ones supposedly regulate the steam electronically, and if the electronics aren't working, it's supposed to have a fail-safe in there, and also if for some reason your power shuts down, there's a fail-safe in there to release the steam. So
how many people we got on? I'm just looking.
26, 20.
Ooh, we may be up to a new
record. Anyway,
anyway,
we thought I'd give it a try, see what it's like. I've never cooked in a pressure cooker before, and we'll see how that works.
Well, Hayes says, welcome, Hayes. The Instant Pot is fantastic. We've used one for a couple of years. So versatile too for lots of recipes. Yeah, and I think it was worth the investment, especially like it was half price. So basically on Black Friday. Jody says, Stephen, how often do you teach classes at your local scrapbook store? Sure wish I lived closer, I would definitely go. I usually teach once a month. I teach an art journal class. I'm teaching one. Oh, before I forget, people, this just reminded me. I usually teach the art journaling class the first Sunday of every month from 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I have a bunch that are pretty much my regulars for it. They're not huge classes. The most I can handle are 12 at a time, but usually they're sold out. And we have a lot of fun because they're a great group to work with. But having said that, next Sunday we will do Stephen and Walter live, but it'll probably be about an hour later. Instead of around 4 o'clock, it'll probably be 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time because my class runs until about 4 o'clock. So by the time I clean up there and get home, it's going to be closer to 5 o'clock. So if I remember, again, I will try to put out a teaser the day before. I forgot yesterday to put a teaser out. That's why it went on very early this morning here, just as a reminder. Let's see. Ilona is here. Hi, Ilona. How are you doing? She says, we're doing fine. Let's see. So, talking a little bit about cooking and stuff.
Yeah, you're talking about
Ian
food.
says he's got an early start at work tomorrow, so I'll have to get to bed now. See you all later. Bye, Ian. We'll see you next time.
Hope you feel better.
Yeah, I hope you feel better. All right, so we talked about our bread maker, our Instapot. Since we're talking about appliances, and appliances lead to cookware, and cookware leads to tea services, and tea services lead to silver tea services. Last week we were talking about my mother's silver tea service and about cleaning it. So Walter cleaned it. And tell them how you did it.
I just put aluminum foil in the bottom of the sink, and originally it says you're supposed to use washing soda. Well, I can't find washing soda around here anywhere. Nobody seems to sell it anymore.
I don't think we call it washing soda. It's probably something else.
No, it was called washing soda or Calgonite. That's what it was called before, which is washing soda. But now I think they've renamed it to OxyClean.
Oh yeah, that's what.
Because we bought OxyClean and it works really well, and I added a little bit of cooking baking soda as well, sodium bicarbonate. I guess OxyClean is sodium carbonate, which is actually what they used to call washing soda. So I did that and put it in the sink, and magically it pretty much came clean.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks really good. My sister's going to be so pissed off that we cleaned that. And when I say we, I mean Walter cleaned it.
I cleaned it, yeah.
I didn't clean it. He cleaned it. I was going to clean it, but, he's retired. Oh, somebody had a question about your retirement. I was going to bring it up. Just go back here and see.
Technically, I'm still not retired, not till November 30th.
Yeah, you keep telling people that. Okay, so Jody says, Walter, what advice do you have for those of us with less than a year to go to retirement? Stay alive.
Yeah.
So you can enjoy it.
Keep plugging. Actually, I wasn't really into work for the last couple of years, but I did my work and did and was pretty much interested in it. But anyway, I was sort of really ready and felt ready to retire. Like I didn't feel like I was forced into it or anything like that. So actually, I haven't really done as much. I'm sort of getting used to the idea of being retired right now, but I can't imagine going back. Even at this earliest stage, I can't imagine going back to work. So I don't know if that's really answering your question. I think it's an individual thing, how everybody prepares for it. Like I know it depends on how dedicated you are at work and how that's not saying that it wasn't dedicated, but it's how important work is for you. Like if that's the only thing that you do, and you don't have any hobbies and you don't have any interests,
then don't retire. Then
it may not be for you. But for me, I have lots of things that occupy my time, and I'm not. Work was getting in the way for me. For all the other things I want to do, and now I feel I'm much more relaxed and not.
You should be asleep every day till 11.
We got up at 9:30 this morning.
Yeah, that was rare.
Yeah, but you go to bed at like 9 o'clock at night, and I go to bed at 3.
Well,
So.
you know, got to keep that youthful look. Good night's sleep, beauty
But
sleep.
anyway,
all that.
so no, actually, so far I really like it, and I'm sure I'll like it even more.
I don't. I've been retired 5 years, and to me, it seems like 100 years ago that I did what I used to do as a teacher. It's like it's amazing how your life. There is life after work.
I just find there's a lot of things I need to do around the house and stuff like that, and now I don't feel quite so pressured to have to do it on a weekend or something.
Yeah, that's the beauty. In fact, this coming week, Tuesday, our housekeeper comes in to clean, and we don't like to be here when she's here. And I used to, when he was working, he'd go in to actually physically go into work when she'd come, and I'd go out and I'd do shopping and stuff like that. But now that he's retired as well, so we need to do something else. But there's the One of a Kind show in Toronto, which I mentioned last week, is on right now, and I've never been to it. So we're going on Tuesday when she's here and check out what they've got. I'm not anticipating buying anything. I'm looking at it more or less to get ideas for things, you know, that you can create or that kind of stuff. And speaking of which, yesterday we went to, there's a local group, it's called The Living Room, which is sort of a charity-based art craft kind of place in the city we live in. And they were having a sale. Basically, people bought tables and were selling their arts and crafts and artwork and things like that. And we went up and took a look. That took a whole 5 minutes.
I was interested. There's a guy there making chainmail, which is
That was probably the most
interesting.
interesting thing that we saw there. He had all this chainmail he was making, but he had, they looked like they were either painted or he did them with colored links right in the chainmail. He had like butterflies and birds and flowers and things in them. And I've seen chainmail before, but I've never seen it that looks like that. So I don't know. We didn't really talk to him, so I don't know if he paints it or if it's made up of a combination of actual colored links to create these images. But it was kind of interesting. There was somebody was painting on old records, done it, been
It
there.
wasn't even good. Actually, it didn't appeal to me, put it that way.
Well, I think it was supposed to be abstract, but it did basically look like someone just sort of slapped some paint on an old record and there you go. With it. Stuff I was doing was poured acrylics on it. That kind of thing. I'm not necessarily saying that mine were that much better than that, but yeah, they were. Mine were better.
Actually, going back to retirement for a minute, one thing that was good for me the last couple of years was my company. There was a push for us to work from home instead of I did a lot of computer work, so I could do things remotely, and I didn't have to necessarily go into work. So I was working about 3 days a week at home for the last year or so. So I'm at home. I was used to being at home when he was home. So, but I was working. And now I'm at home and I'm not working. So I thought it was a good way to ease into the retirement thing. So
some other comments here, just quickie one. Anita says that about the chain mail. I had a friend who did chain art, and yes, he bought colored pieces. Yeah, it didn't look to me like they were painted. They looked like they were colored pieces, in the way that he had blended them in, it created a design. And Anita says, no, sorry, not Anita. Katie says, wow, that sounds like some cool chain mail. It is probably colored links. I made one chain mail bracelet once. Never again, so time consuming. Yeah, I don't think I would have the patience for it because you're opening up those little rings, and I'm not very good at
yeah, well, this guy
that kind
I
of
guess
stuff.
was doing a whole. He had it on display, an actual like T-shirt that he made out of it. And
Yeah, and he was doing custom stuff too. He told us he had a commission there that he was working
he was
on
making
for
a
something.
tie.
Oh yeah, that's right, a tie. So just to
I
back,
don't know how you tie that, but
I don't know, just to back up, Ilona says that OxyClean is great for stencils, I'm told. Oh, I've never tried that. Maybe I'll give that a try. See how that works out. I don't really clean my stencils. I wipe them off, but I don't get that worried about if they're looking mucky. But I'll give it a try with the OxyClean though. let's see. Oh, what Millie asks, what's the official age in Canada when you can retire?
Well, no.
Well, there's not really an
there
official
isn't
age.
really an official age. It depends on.
It used to be, you considered the average person retired at the age of 65.
Yeah, and that's actually what government pensions pay out at 65 usually.
Although you can get some of them
Early, but
earlier,
you get a reduced amount.
because I'm collecting something we call CPP, Canadian Pension Plan. You
And
pay
it- yeah,
you
okay, go
pay
ahead.
into it as soon as you start to work, whenever that is, and it accumulates over time. And then at 65, you can apply for it and you'll get it. So you'll get a check every month for about, in my case, I think it would have been about 700 and some odd dollars.
The maximum for applying, no, the maximum at age 65 would have been about 1,200 a month.
Oh, well, how do you get the maximum?
By working you have to work at least 38 years to get the maximum, full time.
Oh.
But anyway,
Okay.
but
But I applied for it early. You can apply when you turn 60 to get it earlier, and it's reduced. And so I think before I have them automatically take at source 25% of it off for income tax purposes, because I don't want to be saddled with a big income tax bill when I do my taxes next year. Because I don't know what this is going to do, because I still get my pension from being a teacher too. So it puts me into a slightly higher tax bracket, and in this country that could be a lot of money. You never know. So anyways, I get it early.
and then the company I worked for had a defined pension plan. We paid into it. The employer matched the payment into it. But their rule for retiring was that you had to have at least 30 years of service, and you had to be at least 55 years of age. And now I didn't start there until I was 29, so I just achieved my 30-year status, and I'm 59, and
Damn near 60.
I was able to.
He'll be 60.
I
in a
was
month and a
able
half.
to retire now and take my pension with that. But there isn't really an official time when you want to retire. We have a friend that retired at 30.
Yeah.
And he just had enough money. He just saved everything. He had parents that passed away early in life. And so he figured he didn't have much time. So he socked as much money. He had a really, really, really good job. He socked as much money as he could away. And he's a real cheap bugger. And he just up and decided to quit and retire, and his dream was to sail the Caribbean.
And
he did that for about 10 years, and he just got tired of doing that, so he came back up. And
he's in his 60s now, early 60s, and he has been retired more years than he actually worked.
Right.
But that was rare. I mean, I think he got a fair amount of money from his family's estate, from his parents' estate. We don't know. He's very quiet about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we don't really know. So he felt he could live off of the money that he had, and he has been able to do that. So basically, there isn't really an official age you could retire. You can retire if you figure you have enough money. So
yeah. So Jody says, "Well, congratulations, Walter, on your retirement. I've been a government employee. It'll be 40 years next month. I've always been artsy and want to have more time to create beautiful things." Yes, and that's what I want to do too. I mean, my job is extremely creative as a high school English teacher. I mean, no bones about it. It's one of the reasons I picked that as a career, because I couldn't see myself spending 40 years of my life in a desk or in a cubicle somewhere. You know, I mean, wanted to be an accountant before I decided I want to be an English teacher. A little bit of a difference there between the two, but I never looked back after that. And yeah, you have to have lots of hobbies. You have to have things you're going to do, because my father didn't and he died. Simple as that. His retirement was horrible for him. He got dementia.
Yep.
He had all kinds of problems. He was bored out of his mind. He had nothing to keep him interested. And I've already had this conversation on here before, so I'm not going to belabor it. But my mother is in the same boat. Only television. That's all she watches all day long. Enough said about that.
well, and there's a lady I worked with that her life was work, and to the point where she would go on holidays, and you'd send her a memo just to let her know that I was looking at something that she would be interested in, or affected her department. And within 5 minutes, I'd get a reply back from her cell phone while she's somewhere in the world on vacation, because she was reading all her work email while she was on vacation. She retired last year. All of a sudden, she retired last year. I was surprised that she was going to take retirement, and she couldn't handle it. She couldn't handle being at home because she had no other interests, and her whole life was work. And now apparently she got a job at another similar business because she couldn't handle the fact of being retired.
So, Jody says, our government pension pays out at 55 as long as you have the rule of 75. Age plus years of service must equal 75. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we have factors like that. My factor was, why don't you jump
right in? Yeah, okay, all right, go ahead. Your factor is what?
85 factor.
Okay.
What was yours?
90.
Yeah, so.
No, I see I have a split pension from two locations. One of my pensions is a factor 90. I had to have that. So November 7th was my factor 90 on one pension, and my other pension was August 31st. I needed to be at least 55 and 30 years of service. So
yeah, so Anita says that on retirement, I think if you are a person who has many interests outside of work, do better than those who do not. And they are just lost and just sit. Yeah, exactly. And Melly says here, and she's in Finland, here they just raised retirement age from 65 to 65. Was 63 earlier. And wasn't there something our Canadian government was talking about going to 67?
Well, the retirement age was in Canada to get what you call your Ontario Old Age Security Pension, right? So the previous government had changed it to 67. But the current government had pushed it back down now to 65. So
yeah, although there are more and more people that are working into their 70s over here, mainly because they can't afford to retire. I was lucky. We were both lucky. We worked for government organizations. We had pension plans in that. We paid into those plans as well, but they're relatively good pension plans. But a lot of people who work in the private sector, they do not have any kind of pension plan through their work, and if they have any money, if they're smart, they're putting money into registered retirement savings plans or into something to save for that. But a lot of them don't, and a lot of them are supporting their adult children, which is absolutely ridiculous. We were talking about this the other day. More and more people have their kids who seem to be taking multiple degrees, and their parents are paying for it. My family has that situation happening as well with it. I say if you're going to pay for a kid's degree, okay, pay for the first one. If they want anything beyond that, go out, get a job, put yourself through university to get your other degrees.
Well, not only that, there's a lot of people that don't have very good financial.
Well, people want the big cars and the big houses, and they don't want to give up anything in their life that they've grown accustomed to. And they're mortgaged to the hilt for this kind of stuff. So no, but you want to be able to enjoy your retirement years because you're older. You don't know how long your health is going to be good. That's why we travel a lot now while we still can, because who knows, down the road, another 10 years time, we might not be able to do that for health reasons or something like that. So, if you work until you're 70 or 72, what are you going to do? There goes probably your prime years for when you should have had a little bit of money and been able to do the things you want to do. And then suddenly you retire at 72 or at 70, you're worn out, your health sucks, and you've got no money. So what are you going to do? Die. Whatever. Let's see what else is on here. Jody says, I'm the leader of 50-member scrapbook group, so that keeps me busy as well, so I will not be bored after retirement. Most people inherit, so retirement is easier. Not my case, however, unfortunately. Nope, I certainly didn't get any money from my family. My money comes from my pension, the money that I've saved. I have an RSP, and I have Walter, and I'm just waiting till stocks go just a little higher, and then I'm up in the arsenic in those burrito surprises. You know, remember? Yeah, that's the surprise in the burritos. It's arsenic. It's delicious. That's at least what I'm telling you.
I keep swiping the plates around it, when you're not looking, so.
Thank you, Jody. Yeah, I'm just ignoring you. Jody says, thank you for doing these live feeds. It feels like getting caught up with good friends. Bravo. Well, that's really nice of you. Thank you, Jody. Melly says, Sherry, my cousin, just visited here from Miami, married to an American, and they just told me about this American retirement system. And Katie says, we moved to a 55 plus community a year ago. Not a retirement community, but tons of activities. We love it. Yeah, really, if my mother was more mobile, I would have, when we sold her house, might have been nice to get her into a place like that too. I know people who live in those kind of communities, and they downsized from what they were living in before, but it's not a place that's just full of it's not a seniors thing, but it's people who generally are retired, and they have activities and things like that. It sounds like a good environment. And Bev says, I was somewhat forced to retire because of disability that I have, but so I'm always making things and sewing and other stuff, so my retirement has never been boring, and that's good. Now, we've got a weird message here. This message is held for review, and I don't recognize this person. Let's see what they said. Sub to me, please. That's why it's not there. Somebody trying to get in on... this is something, that's happening a lot on YouTube. I've noticed much more. People will write comments in your YouTube, and I think they've got it set up as a robot, and it puts in, love your channel, sub to mine. Or they're trying to get traffic flow on theirs, which is kind of, I guess, phishing, as they call it. Best life when you do things. Okay. Debbie says the retirement age for 67, as I am only 32 at the moment. We won't have a state pension UK by the time I retire. Luckily, I have work one that is very small. Yeah. And Jody says, hey Stephen, there's a Canadian YouTuber, Tiki Treks, that explores abandoned homes, buildings in various areas of Canada of interest. Oh, okay, well that looks like that's the one that's put it up here as well, but for some reason it got hidden, and I didn't do that, so YouTube must be somehow automatically filtering things like that out. Let's see what's here. Bev says, I live in a retirement community, but it seems that most people that live here are just existing and not living. I refuse to exist. I'm living my life. My philosophy is, if you're waiting for other people to keep you entertained, then you're going to be waiting for a long time. You got to entertain yourself. You got to get out there and do things. And speaking of that brings me to another thing we did this week, which Walter put up some hesitation from, but it turned out to be not too bad.
Yeah.
We went to something called a culture meet up. Now what this is, it's organized by our city, a department within our city council, and they try to bring people together that are in the arts community, from various organizations or just people who are interested. And I said to Walter, maybe we should go to this. It was going to be held at a downtown coffee/wine bar place that's just opened up a month or so ago. And he first goes, I don't know, I want to go to that. And I said, what's the worst thing that can happen? I said, we aren't interested, we go out. We're not obligated to anything. And so to sweeten the deal, I said, we can go to, there's a nice restaurant just around the corner. I said, we can go to Avantes for dinner if we go that. So we went. And it was interesting. It was very interesting. And I think I would go again. It was more social. It wasn't really like a meeting. Didn't seem to really be any agenda. It was just that some of the people I have met before from the art gallery and from the Oshawa Art Association. There was a counselor there from City Council. He was schmoozing about. Actually, there was one guy there I went to high school with as well. I hadn't seen him in years. In fact, I didn't recognize him. Boy, he got old. How'd that happen? I don't know. I still look 23.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I really do. I strongly suggest you agree with that. Or
Well, you had
or we'll be trying a
you
new
had
food. The
pimples and
pressure.
long hair?
Not at 23, I didn't. Don't you remember? Oh no, you didn't know me at
I didn't
23.
know you at
It wasn't until I was 26. I was even better at 26. Anyways, so we went to this.
Your afro?
Yeah, let's not. I didn't have an afro at 26. I had
At
that
23?
when I was 19. I didn't have it at 23. I got rid of that. Anyways, that's a story for another day. Never mind. So anyways, we went to this meeting. It was really interesting. But one thing I liked is this place we were in. It felt like we were in a place in some place in Toronto. It was very
Someplace
trendy.
exotic, yeah.
Yeah,
Not
not
downtown
downtown
Oshawa.
Oshawa. I mean, Oshawa's changing. It is changing.
Yeah, not
So-
as many hawkers on the street.
Well, since they closed out that drug trade, Tim
Them-
Hortons, they
Yeah.
like it's cleaned it up a little bit. But anyways, we went. If you don't put yourself, what I'm trying to get at is, it is very easy in your own mind to dismiss opportunities. You'll say, "Oh, that's not for me," or "Oh, I can't really be bothered. I'm too tired," or "I just there's something better on TV." That's what my mother started doing, and that's why now she can't walk. Basically, she didn't put herself out there. I don't want to do that. Take a chance. It's an adventure. What's the worst thing that can happen? You go, it's not your cup of tea, you don't do it again. Big deal. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. So that's all I'm saying about that. But it was interesting, I'd go again. In fact, always learned something too. Learned that we have an Oshawa museum. I knew about it, never been to it.
Actually, I've been by it.
We've been by it, yeah, but we've never been in it.
Yeah.
Didn't think, well, there was a woman there who works there, and she was telling us all about the events and things that are coming up. Like they have at Christmas time, they have these special teas. Well, I think they have those all year round, but they have this Victorian Christmas night kind of a thing. It sounded really good. So I said to Walter, we need to go and check this out and see what it's all about, because, we didn't know anything about the art gallery much, except that it existed.
Yeah.
But we never got involved. We weren't involved with it, so we never went to it. When I started to volunteer there, it's opened up a whole new world.
I used to think that you just went. I used to think that when you visited it once, that the art would always still be the same. And once you saw it, you didn't need to go back. But then I discovered that they keep changing the art. So it's interesting to go back and see.
Yeah, Dorothy says that I need a moderator to weed out the trolls. Yeah, I actually, knock on wood, really haven't had any trouble with trolls.
Mind you, we don't have like 300.
But yeah, we don't have like 3,000 people all tuned into the live, so that could be why. And Katie says, I hate that spam stuff, Stephen. Happens on Twitter and Instagram too. Yeah, I know. Anita says, how are your Christmas Day plans going? Well, that's what I have to do this week. I've got to really seriously sit down and start making my list, which I like to list things before I have a gathering. I plan everything out, what I need to get, what needs to be set up. Walter's laughing because I do break it down by the day and down to the hour. And people who come here who know me, they will look for the list. The list will be on the side of the fridge.
Yeah, if we have a dinner party or something like that, he'll have a whole list of everything that we're doing down to exactly what's being cooked and everything being served. And
I don't want to forget anything.
So I often go in. When we first got together, I would go in and rearrange.
He
things.
rearranged my list, or he put some things on there and went, wait, that's not happening at this party. And I have other friends who come over too, and they will check. And my sister, she knows the list is on the side of the fridge, and she'll write little nasty things on it when my back is turned. Bitch. So I've got to get out. I've got to start putting up the Christmas decorations, and as I told you before, Christmas bah humbug. But every time I turn around, he comes home with a new decoration for outside. He's trying to keep up with the neighbors. Our neighborhood is fairly competitive with Christmas decorations, so.
Well, next door wants to have their house a yuppie house. And
Ours looks like a disco.
And ours is a tacky house.
Ours, it's not tacky. It's just rather bright, and
It's
the
more
lights
like the
do all
Griswold.
kinds of things. It's like kind of like the Griswold Christmas, Christmas vacation.
Yeah, I probably took her off last.
Yeah.
next door.
And yeah, probably does.
Because I'm not sophisticated enough like you.
Yeah, whatever. Anita says, Stephen, you're so right about taking risks and trying different things. And Jody says, Stephen, your community sounds wonderful. I'll bet you don't have traffic jams, right? No, we
No,
don't.
it gets pretty busy.
Yeah.
Traffic jams, no, not like rush hour like in a major city, but it is very busy.
We're only a city of about 160,000
And
people. It might be more than that now, but
well, it depends if you include Whitby. Whitby sort of joined us.
well, no, they're not. They're just right next door, but they're not
Yeah.
part of us.
No, but like you drive from one to the other, and it's all city.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how big Whitby now? 70.
No, Whitby's over 100,000
Okay,
now. I
so
think,
they're 100,000. So we're about
So-
260,000 altogether.
Okay, but that's two towns.
Yeah,
Two
okay,
places.
so-
Like we were talking about. I don't know.
We
Okay,
go back
whatever.
and forth.
Well, why don't you add Bowmanville in there too? And let's
No,
get
there's
in a few.
there's a piece of empty land in between Bowmanville.
Yeah, it's called Curtis, or as the people who moved to Curtis like to call it,
Cortese.
Curtis, because they're very gentle. It's like the people who live north of Whitby, Brooklyn. Yeah, their crap doesn't smell much.
There's a lot of big houses in Brooklyn.
Yeah, a lot of big egos there too.
Yeah.
But anyways, no traffic jams. Katie says, lists are awesome. How can anyone exist without them? I know. I make lists about my lists. I have lists all over the place. Problem is, I forget where I put the list. That's why I have to have a list of my lists. And I have a program on my computer. I have 2 monitors on my computer. And one monitor has, when it's not got anything else showing up on it, it's like an electronic bulletin board. And that's where I pin all my notes and everything that's on there. Heaven forbid if I lose all that stuff, I'd be lost. Melly says, Stephen, your Christmas napkins and runner were beautiful. You must be proud that you could do them. Yeah, I am. I'm actually really proud of myself, but I'm even more proud of myself about what I'm going to show tomorrow on my vlog. I made an extra large tote bag. Walter says, not very masculine looking. Well, problem is I had to use 2 types of material, and the material that I thought was going to be on the outside of the bag, and the material I was going to use to line the bag, well, I got those pieces mixed up, so yeah, the lining is a little less masculine, but I like it. And the only thing is, I blew one of the corners because it's got these gussets, and so if you do them right, they come out square. 3 out of 4 wasn't bad. And I knew that one wasn't going to turn out right, but I just kept on sewing anyways, and I know what I did wrong, but I can't pull it apart to fix it because there's not enough material to do it, and I would just wreck it. So live and learn, no one will see it anyways. It was an experiment, but then I have been working on a small quilted wall hanging. Walter hasn't even seen it yet because it was drying still downstairs, and I am going to get it. Walter, keep people amused.
What should I say?
Well, you had a lot to say before.
Yeah, I know, but that's only when I'm cutting into you. Yeah, he's been busily sewing away all the last few days, and so I keep hearing the sewing machine running. So okay, it's coming.
Oh, what? Ran out of things to talk
Yeah,
about?
I know.
Okay, I gotta stand
I
up.
need my.
You didn't see the thing.
Okay, that's all right.
Oh, it's all right. I got it right. So I don't. So it was made of scraps, scrap material. Sewed them all together. There is a cotton bunting inside. This is the back. Didn't have enough material to do it all in one piece, so I had to do 2 pieces of material. And I just went on from there. Then I got this stuff, this binding, bias tape, and I didn't miter my corners because I didn't know how. So next time I make one of these, I will learn how to miter the corners. Then I decided that I wanted to do some appliques, so I cut out the butterflies using my Cricut Maker, and they're put on with that adhesive bonding stuff you iron on. But then I don't know if you could tell, but I put little stitch marks from each of the butterflies, to show the flight pattern kind of thing. And I added some purple fiber down to the sides here. It's a work of art, I will tell you this. But anyways, it's I'm kind of proud of this. I mean, yeah, there's mistakes in it. Like my squares don't all line up, and no mitered corners and whatnot. And then we'll just, why are you sewing by hand when I was putting in these stitch marks, right? Why not using the sewing machine? Well, I thought about using the sewing machine, but then I figured this thing's kind of bulky, and my sewing skills are not that great yet. So I decided to do it by hand, which I do not like hand sewing. But anyways, I am kind of proud of this. One thing I didn't do is I didn't put straps in it yet to hang it from a rod. I may do that yet. I don't know. But anyways, and I bejeweled it with some little embellishment. Hope they'll stay on. They're on there with fabric glue, so we'll see. Anyways, that was a big project that I did. Started it yesterday, finished it today. I'm having fun learning how to quilt on a machine. So, that was my latest project that Walter's still laughing at.
It's alright. Actually, it looks better than I thought it would.
Oh, thanks. That's high compliment. So some comments here. Looking forward to the bag. Yes, I will show that to you tomorrow. Not showing you everything today. You won't tune in for tomorrow. I got to tease you with something. Let's see. Dorothy says, "Wow, that's beautiful, Stephen." Thank you, Dorothy. And Anita says, "Wow, how beautiful." Thank you. And or Anita says, "Nice." I'm getting people mixed up. No, Katie says, "Nice." Okay. And then Melly says, "You should make fabric from your own artwork. For example, your acrylic pourings. Have you ever tried Spoonflower, where you can order custom-made fabric? Fabric selection is quality great." That's interesting. I've never thought about it. That could be kind of an interesting project. I might have to look into that. That's beautiful. It's beautiful. Really nice job. That's really nice. Great job, Stephen. Looks good. Smiley face. It's really nice piece. Woohoo. Love it, Stephen. You should be proud. It looks great. Yes, it's work of art. Well done. Nice job, Stephen. Looks pretty. Walter, are you going to craft with Stephen? So, people like it. Everybody seems to like it. Even if they are being polite. I don't care.
That looks nice.
So, there was another question here just before I deal with that one that just came up. Oh, somebody said, "Walter, tell us a joke." Oh, that must have been when I was downstairs.
Oh, tell us a joke. Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
I don't remember jokes very much. Oh, yeah, what's the... Might offend somebody, though.
Oh, just before. Good night, Debbie. Debbie's off to bed because it's late there. Okay, so what? No, don't be saying anything offensive. We're trying to keep this PG.
My BMW joke.
Your BMW? Oh, yeah, tell that one. That one's good.
What's the difference between a BMW and a porcupine?
I don't know. What is the difference between a BMW and a porcupine?
The porcupine has the pricks on the outside.
So if any of you drive a BMW, anyways. Sandy wants to know, Walter, when are you going to craft with Stephen?
One of these days.
Actually, I've been trying something new, and I haven't got it to work yet. I've been experimenting with...
Yeah, right. Get me to do something that doesn't work.
No, I was talking about the technology for doing it. Because all they would see would be our hands if we did it downstairs, like for my usual ones, right? So I've got a new program
Or tattoo Walter across my...
yeah, whatever. I've got a new program downstairs where I can do picture-in-picture, and I use two cameras, one in the computer and one my standalone one. The only thing was I can get it to work, but I found that the playback quality was rather jerky, so I got to look into the settings and stuff like that, because I'm thinking, well, that would be good, because then you could see us, our faces, and at the same time see our hands, what we're doing. I'm working on it. We'll see what'll happen.
Mm-hmm. I will venture and do that.
Dorothy liked your joke. Walter, you should do it. Then you can challenge Stephen to do some glasswork. No, I like my fingers. I'm very klutzy. I would cut...
No, that would take too much time. And glasswork requires a lot of patience.
Good night, B.
And the first little while is you got your hands to shred. So
yeah, that's what I'm not looking forward to.
There's a lot of blood.
So, anyways, a new item for on live here. I thought it might be interesting. People who write comments. The ones who don't get a chance to get on here when it's live and make comments, oftentimes they'll watch it later, or some of you watch it later again and leave a comment. So I thought, I do read them. I don't always write back, because sometimes there's just nothing to write back about. I mean, if you ask me a very specific question, then I try to answer that. But I thought, you spent the time and the effort to write a comment, that maybe I should highlight them. Now, we didn't have a lot this week, but last week we were talking a little bit about seniors and assisted living and things like that. And who is this? This is, why can't I find? Oh yeah, Anita wrote, Stephen, in the U.S., assisted living for seniors starts at $4,000 a month base, plus then, depending on the level of assistance needed, added a minimum of another $1,500 up. Yeah, we were talking about those residences where they will prepare meals and do all the other kind of stuff. That my mother would really like to live in one of those, but it's way astronomical. So it sounds like in the States they're about the same as what they cost here as well.
Yeah, and then we also have government run or government sanctioned places that are actually, we call them nursing homes, and they whether they're privately owned or whether the government owned, they're government regulated, so they have to provide a certain amount of service, but they have a maximum amount they can charge, and I believe it's about for a private room, I think it's the maximum is around $2,500 a month.
Yeah, well, we talked all about that last
Yeah.
week. Just on the side here, Anita says, Walter, your stained glass work is beautiful.
I haven't gotten back to it yet. I got.
No, you haven't.
It, yeah.
Yeah, well, he's been busy putting up cupboards down in his workshop and trying to clean that up.
Yeah, and then my next job is to finish up Christmas, and then I can start. I have a piece of stained glass that I broke, and I need to actually redo it.
Yeah.
It won't take a long time to do, but I need to redo it.
So some other comments. Kathy wrote, and this is in reference to we were talking about what the intoxication level is for driving, and ours here is
0.08.
0.08. Kathy said in DE. Is that Denmark? No. DE.
I don't know.
Or is that Germany?
No.
I don't know where that is, but the limit is 0.10. So
that's higher.
That's much higher, yeah.
And 0.08 is quite substantial here.
Yeah. Kathy also said when we were talking about fruitcake, it's the candy fruit that I don't like. My mother made fruitcake as well, never ate it. That's the best part's the candy fruit. I love that.
I can't say I was ever really that fond of it.
And Kathy also says universities in the U.S. are hiring part-time as well. This is in reference to our comments last week about the college strike. I work for the University of Delaware. Oh, so DE must be Delaware in the States. Okay. Yeah, because the states always put the first letter and the last letter of the state for their short form. For 4 years after retiring, pay was horrible. Anita had written, sorry, Mr. Live, on cleaning silver, I have used foil and original powder Tide laundry detergent, but I like the idea of OxyClean. And Cindy Wolf wrote, can't see what you do with the charger plate. Can't wait to see what you do with the charger plate. I have a few and would love to use them. Yeah, that's sitting on the back burner. I bought it. It was a whim. It was on sale. So I got it. Haven't done anything with it. I have a pile of things downstairs that thought, that would be interesting. Haven't got to it yet. I need to be in the mood. Sometimes I need to be inspired for this. So those are a few comments that we had last week. So I will maybe share the comments with you if you write them if you don't mind. If you have anything that you put on, or if you're watching this after the live production, but you're watching it as a rebroadcast and you put some comments down, I want you to know I do read all the comments. In fact, I get a notification in email as soon as you've written a comment. And like I said, I don't always comment on the comments, but if there are specific questions, then I will answer specific questions with that as well. Okay, just see what's, DE Germany, I think, is what Melly thought, and so did Ilona. But I think we figured it out now that it's actually Delaware in the States. Anita says, I was a nurse in a nursing home for about 13 years. My dad was in a nursing home for 4 years. The average cost per month of long-term care is $10,000. Yes, it's expensive. Our government subsidizes it to a point, but you've got to be basically make nothing to get a subsidy for it. So,
No, actually, even the ones that you pay, where you pay the full rate, which is $2,500 a month, which is a private room, it's subsidized.
oh, that's
50%.
still subsidized too?
Yeah, like
Oh,
it's
okay.
still subsidized 50%. So,
Oh, all right. Well, I guess that's better than nothing.
but getting into them are hard.
Yeah, well, we went over that last week. Okay, so what's pissing us off? Well, we have 3 possible topics. But what's pissing Walter off? Because I'm going to use whatever we don't talk about here, I'm going to use tomorrow on my vlog. So you were talking the other day, and I didn't write that one
Yeah,
down.
well, I was thinking. Actually, I thought of one today that's pissing me off.
Oh, you got a new one? Okay, well, what is it? People want to hear what pisses you off.
People that spit outside on the sidewalk.
That is the most disgusting thing. Oh, I hate that.
I mean, that's something that my mother said, you don't do that.
No,
when
that's
I was
disgusting.
a little kid, and so it's something I've never done. But it grosses me out when somebody spits
There is
on the sidewalk.
There's absolutely no reason why anybody needs to spit.
It was funny because last year when we were on a cruise in New Zealand,
Oh yeah.
there was a guy, well, he was American, and he spit right in front of one of the people. She was holding us up because it was a safety issue not to get to
She was
the
a
buses,
security guard.
right, security guard. And she looked at him and she says, you don't do that here. And he says, well, where the hell am I going to do it? And she goes, you keep it in your mouth, she says, because it's illegal to do it in New Zealand and you'll be fined if you do that.
Good night, Lindsay.
And I've seen people do it here, and I've seen people do it elsewhere in North America, and it really grosses me out. I don't see why people can't keep their spit in their mouth.
Yeah, and you know, when I was a kid,
I mean, you can swallow.
yeah, I don't remember as a kid seeing a lot of people spitting. If you saw somebody spitting, it was usually a homeless person somewhere or something like that. Or whatever, or someone was being violently ill for some reason. But now the young people, they're just horking loogies everywhere with this, and I don't know when that became socially acceptable. It's disgusting. But in Canada, we are just still too bloody polite to walk up to somebody and go, "Excuse me. I don't need your germs," as someone's already said here in the comments. I don't need your germs being spread over the areas that I'm walking in. I don't want to step in that. I don't want to see that. It's just off with their head. It's all I can say about that. And let's see, a lot of people seem to feel the same way here because Dorothy hates it. And Anita says that's a bad habit. And Sandy says, I can't stand that is how germs are spread. Yep. Katie says, I hate spitting. I forbid both my sons from spitting anywhere ever. Yes, my mother, she always told us, you don't do that at all. She was really, that used to get her
Well,
going.
my parents did that too. So.
And Ilona says she agrees it's gross. And yeah, and then Katie says, even on the sports field, so disgusting. Yeah, and you know, the baseball players chew tobacco and spit. And that apparently was becoming very trendy amongst young kids, buying chewing tobacco, which I don't know what the rules are on chewing tobacco, whether there's a regulation on selling that kind of stuff to minors or whether they can get away with that, like cigarettes. I don't know. But there was, and I had a few in school when I was teaching that were doing that, and I wouldn't allow it anywhere. If I saw it anywhere, but that was the school, I said, I would just send them down to the office and the whole bit, because that was the most disgusting. In fact, they ever did it when I was standing around them. They never did it again when they saw me coming, because I would just go ballistic on them. Ilona says it's footballers that do it too, yeah. And when I was younger, Dorothy says, there was do not spit posters all over the place on public transport, and they could be found, and they could be fined in the UK. In Singapore, when we were there, they will take you off to jail if you spit. They don't allow you to chew gum. They don't allow you to
Eat a candy?
Eat a candy. They don't allow
you to drink water on the subway?
Yep, nothing. And you can eat off the streets in Singapore.
You can eat off the subway.
Yeah, it is incredibly clean. And I'm all for that. All for that. No graffiti. If they catch you with graffiti, they will cane you. Public beating. We should have more public beatings. I think that would be a good deterrent. I'd like the idea of public beatings, especially on the young kids. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, you won't do that again. Chewing tobacco, according to Anita, leads to a lot of oral cancers. And Bev says chewing tobacco is just like regular tobacco that you cannot get it until you're 18, although some states are now raising to 21 for cigarettes and tobacco. Yeah, higher up it goes, the better. And I question the whole business of making chewing tobacco. What is it good for? But then again, they still make cigarettes, so what's that good for? Yeah, never been a smoker, never intend to be. So, and Sandy says they should be made to clean it up. Yep. And so we got a lot of agreement on that. So yeah, spitting is just a disgusting habit. And I mean, bad manners. I've seen people talking to somebody else and then suddenly just spit. No. And you know who's bad for this? And this sounds really racist? Chinese. The Chinese are really bad for spitting. Actually, the Chinese are really bad, at least the ones in Toronto, are really bad for spitting, and they don't really understand that there's this modern invention for when you have something up your nose you got to get rid of called a Kleenex. They like to do this bathroom and I can't even talk about it because I'm picturing it's just making me sick. And there goes dinner. Bourguignon. Oh.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about, that. Oh, it's just disgusting. But yeah, now I've grossed myself out really well. So anyways, now tomorrow, one thing I am going to talk about now though, since I've already mentioned Chinese, and this has nothing to do with Chinese, and I'm sorry if anybody's from Asian background or whatever, I don't mean to paint you with a big brush here, okay? That not all Chinese are that way. I know that, okay?
Just like not all North Americans do that.
Yeah, that's right. But here's a group. Okay, I am not going to be politically correct about this, and I'm sorry. Black Lives Matter should be eradicated from the face of the planet. They serve absolutely no purpose on this planet. Anyway, all they do is stir up shit. Latest thing Black Like Me's have done here in our province is they went to the Toronto School Board and they browbeat them into eliminating their community liaison program that they have between the local police and the schools. Most of our high schools in Ontario do have a police presence in them. What that means is there are specially trained officers who come into the school and they talk to the students, they walk around the school, they try to be friendly, they try to be helpful. But the whole idea is their presence there in the school is to protect the safety of the students and the staff and any visitors that come to school, and to act as a deterrent to anybody who might try to carry on a criminal activity. Black Lives Matter think it's intimidating, especially to black students, and that they shouldn't be there. And they've managed to go to the weakest link, because the Toronto District School Board is one of the weakest school boards in Ontario. They have no backbone. They bend over backwards on all issues. Worst school board in Ontario, okay? And I'm saying that from a professional background, okay? So they have removed police presence in the schools. Yeah. Now you want to see what's going to happen in the schools? There's going to be a new surge in violence in the schools, school stabbings, school shootings. Watch, mind my words, it's going to happen. Because with the officers in there, that did act as a deterrent. Now, I said to Walter, they said the next thing they're going to do is they've had this victory. The Black Lives Matter think they have a victory, so they're going to move on to our Ontario government and go to the Ministry of Education and want the Ministry of Education to declare that there should be no police presence in any school in Ontario. That's not going to happen. I know what's going to happen. The Minister of Education is going to turn around and say to them, well, each jurisdiction is ruled by their school board, and the school board creates policies and procedures that are unique to their clientele and to their demographic. Therefore, we cannot regulate that. It has to come from the school board. That'll be their way out of it politically. I had said that 2 hours later on the news. Guess what? Minister of Education was on the news. Black Lives Matter said they wanted this, and the Minister of Education has just said exactly what I just said. I knew that's going to happen. So I hope in my school district, even though I'm not part of it anymore, I hope ours has more backbone and doesn't do what the Toronto School Board did. But here's the problem with the Black Lives Matter. They're shit disturbers. They go for the weakest links. They went to the Toronto Pride Committee last year to stop the police from marching in the parade. Completely wrong. Completely wrong. The police have been very supportive in the last few years, last decade actually. They weren't always, but they have seen the error of their ways, and more of the police force has gays and lesbians and transgendered people in their organization. And the Black Lives Matter got the Pride Committee to ban them. A mistake. A mistake. But they are a weak link. The Toronto Pride Committee, completely ineffectual. And this is what the Black Lives Matters feed on. They feed on the bottom dwellers. Okay?
They're almost like they're bullying.
Yeah, they are
everybody.
bullying.
Yeah.
But these people are bending to them.
Yeah, I know.
No. Black lives do not matter. I've said it. All lives matter. Black, white, brown, yellow, purple. You get it? It gets me so pissed off. And I'm not going to be politically correct with them anymore. They are an organization that came out of the States. They've come into our country. And, you know, if our country had a little bit more backbone when it comes to this kind of thing, our government would eradicate them. And what I mean by eradicate, and I was an English teacher and I know the meaning of that word, push them right back to where they came from. We don't need them in this country at all. There, I've said it. Let the hate mail begin. But I'm sorry. This is a group that is causing a lot of shit in this country, and we don't need them. I'm done. So, how many people are backing at me? Katie says, oh, Stephen, don't go there. Already did. Hope you don't have a school shooting. We will. Sorry, it's going to happen. And racism is real. Yes, it is real. And the thing is, I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist. Not at all. But racism isn't a black thing only. Racism exists with all groups. I should know. I'm gay. All right? I have been discriminated against. I have fought my life to be seen as an equal. So don't anybody get on their high horse about racism with me about it. I live as a minority as well with it. And yes, I agree. Racism is real. We need to fight racism. But Black Lives Matter is not the group to do it.
They're not helping it.
They're not helping it. They're making it worse. They're making things worse. They're bullies. They're just so many things that they shouldn't be. And anybody who bows down to them on these issues is no better than they are, quite frankly. Cheryl's, who's that? That's Anita says, all lives matter. Yes, they do. And Dorothy says the same. All lives do matter, and we need to be the change we want to see in the world. Yep. Agree, all lives matter, no matter whatever color, nation you are, all should be equal. Yep. And Doris says, yes, LGBT community have been targeted forever. Yep. But the way this group organizes it and holds organizations at ransom, how could they have that kind of power? They only have that power because these organizations they're going after are allowing them to have that power. Nobody has any power over any other
So now-
individual unless that individual allows them to have power over them.
Like one of the reasons about them wanting the cops out of they seem to have a hate on for the cops,
Yeah.
right? And one of the things that annoys me about that is that they're feeling their black students are being intimidated or whatever, but then you remove the cops, then the Chinese people, the
Muslims.
The gay people, they have no protection either.
No.
Right, so they're focusing their fight on one segment of society, but everybody else has to suffer.
I mean,
With that.
where are we without our police force? Yes, there are bad cops, okay?
Yeah.
But there are bad school teachers, there are bad government employees, there's bad in every area of life, but they're usually a small minority. Most people are good people. As simple as that. And when those cops were in the school, at least in my school, when they were there, the kids seemed to have very little fear of going up and asking them questions, legal questions, because adolescents want to know all kinds of things. The cops were friendly to them. They didn't march around looking like, okay, don't look at me sideways or I'm going to knock the crap out of you, kid.
I don't know.
No.
My view is that if the cops are there and somebody's being intimidated, then they're probably doing something they're not supposed to be doing in the first place.
Yeah. And I mean, okay, that's not to say that every bloody kid, as soon as the cops leave out there, are going to do something bad. No. I taught for 31 years. The majority of kids are good kids. In fact, a lot of those kids in high school are better as kids than adults in certain situations. But, I mean, yes, it's sad that we feel that we need for security to have a police presence. But all it was a presence. It wasn't anything in your face, nothing like that. And in fact, we used to get the police officers that were there, we knew them by name, by first name. The kids did too. And you'd hear the kids in the hall go, "Hi, Constable Bob," or whatever. It was all pretty up there. The only ones that squirmed were the ones that were going to do something bad. They're the ones that... So yes, they were being intimidated. Yes, good. We don't need you causing a problem here. So if the cop presence is keeping you from, or makes you think twice about doing something that may not be kosher, then so be it. There are going to be problems. Mark my words. Know it's going to happen. There's going to be stuff in the Toronto schools, and then there's going to be a public outcry again that are going to say, you know, why did we get rid of the cops? And at that point, you will not see Black Lives Matter around at all. They will have disappeared. And the problem now goes back to the school board, and it'll go back to the police themselves as well. So, simple as that. So anyways, that's really what's pissing me off this week. So I got that off my chest. You won't have to hear me talk about it tomorrow. I got a couple of other things tomorrow, though, to talk about. Melly says, this world would be a much better place if all that energy that people use for hate would go to respect each other. Yeah, of course it would be. But, you know, when you have groups like Black Lives Matter, or you have a certain president of the United States, or
your white supremacist
or white
groups,
supremacist groups, you know, we've got a long way to go before we have world peace on any level. But anyways, well, okay, that got really serious, the tone here. Anita's going off to fix dinner, and we'll watch Monday. Bye, everyone. Bye, Anita. We'll see you on Monday. And
we're getting close.
Okay, so we're getting close to our limit here. So very quickly, let's move on to what are we watching this week. Well, we've been catching up on the latest season of Frankie and Grace. That's on Netflix. I don't know if any of you know what that is, but basically it stars Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda. And I find it kind of inspiring because both of those ladies are in their upper 70s and still going strong. Jane Fonda looks marvelous. I mean, my God. I mean, I know that they got her with makeup and the whole bit.
I know they travel on the makeup, right?
But
So-
yeah, but still, I mean, she's active, she's going, she's
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
stuff. But it is a hilarious show. If you've never seen it, you've got to see it. Frankie and Grace. Or yeah, Love Grace. Is it Grace and Frankie or Frankie and Grace? Grace and Frankie. I think you're right, Anita. It's
Yeah.
or Kathy. It's Grace and Frankie. We watched that.
Yeah, it's GAF.
Yeah, that's right. And then we saw two movies this week on Netflix. One called Hush, which is sort of a thriller about a deaf and mute woman living in sort of an isolated place, and a guy comes along for no apparent reason and is trying to kill her. It's actually very good. It's not going to win any Academy Awards for anything, but it was a not bad. And then we saw something that was movie version of a sort of a documentary movie kind of thing called Walt Before Mickey, and it was about Walt Disney and what his life was like before he created Mickey Mouse. And that was kind of interesting too. Both are what I would call amusing little time wasters, but worth the watch. And what's on YouTube? Haven't picked up on any new specific channels to watch, but I was doing some searching through and I've noticed there's a lot of men have YouTube channels about sewing. So, kind of interesting. There was one guy I was watching and he collects old vintage sewing machines and he likes to use the old vintage sewing machines to sew on. So, nothing specific that I can put my finger on and say, here, check out this YouTube channel, but I just found it interesting that there's so many videos being done by men about sewing, which makes me feel better that men can sew.
Well, you wonder, I don't know why it's necessarily a female thing to do, because women, it is a mechanical device that produces
Yeah,
something.
it's a machine.
It's not a drill press, but
it's a machine, and I love
it's
machines.
It's a machine, and then maybe for some reason, I guess maybe because it was more like making dresses and stuff like that, whereas the guy was making more practical things. There's a guy in the Pickering area that apparently sews boat covers together and stuff like that. So
I'd rather quilt. I'm all about quilting these days, learning how to quilt, that kind of thing. I find it really fascinating. But anyways, okay, so what's coming up? We're got to get to the end here because people are going off for dinner and things like that. And
we're getting boring.
Katie says, I'm out to see what's going on with the terrible Denver Broncos. Yeah, and this is Grey Cup weekend here in Canada, which that's all
we don't care about.
It's a football game. I don't know.
I've never followed sports.
So.
And football, I've never really.
It's so strange.
Out of all the sports, football's not one that I really ever cared for.
No.
I hated playing it in high school.
Yes. I played anti-football.
Yeah.
The ball went to near me. I went to the opposite end and away from it, or whatever. I played all anti-sports.
Baseball I'm okay with. I'd rather see it live.
Well, baseball I understand.
Live, but football's never been a big thing.
No. Okay, so what's coming up this week? Well, I've already mentioned, I guess next week it's time to do the decorating for Christmas, and we've talked about the one-of-a-kind show. Maybe the Christmas market as well. I haven't said anything to Walter about that, but that's down the
I wouldn't mind
Distillery.
going there.
Oh, yay! Tuesday out in the city. Yay, wow. Okay, let's hope that there's a police presence so I don't
It sounds
get
like it's
killed.
going to be a good day. It's supposed to be 13 that day.
Oh, great. We can wear shorts. Bev says, I played in the school band, and when we weren't playing, I was reading during the game. Never could understand it. Yeah. Remind me in the future to talk to you about my duck hunting days with my father. I'll just leave it at that. Okay? Some good stories there, though. Someone remind me next time. I'll tell you about those. Okay, so, and there was something else I was going to mention here just before we sign off. Decorate for Christmas. Oh, yeah, we've got a baby shower to go to next Saturday afternoon. You know how I love babies. On a stick, over an open fire, roasting slowly. Serve 4. Everybody gets a drumstick. Okay. Anyways, no, it's for a good friend of mine who I used to work for too. And her daughter is in a motherly way. I think she pops in January. And so we got invited to the baby shower. So we went out and got a baby gift and whatever. kind
I
of
guess
thing.
they're doing.
Yeah, okay, well, don't
Oh.
say too much because Carol might see this. No, you want to keep it a bit of a surprise. Anyway, so that'll be fun. So it's busy next weekend. We've got RMG Friday night to go to, so we have to lop off you lop off hands for people who are drinking, eating, or touching anything where they shouldn't be, and I try to bore them to death with interesting information that I make up about the art. Then Saturday we've got the shower, and on Sunday I'm teaching my class, and then we've got Stephen and Walter live again. So oh my God, busy week. Maybe if I get all my
Yeah,
Christmas
get all my-
decorations up
yeah.
before then, I'll do a little bit. I'll take you on a tour, a live tour of what we've done. We're not getting crazy, although Walter's really made it a disco world outside. Maybe I'll show you that too, then as well. So what were you gonna say?
No, it's okay. I gotta
Okay.
finish my Christmas decoration.
All right. So, anyways, that's it for us tonight. Walter has beef bourguignon a la Julia Childs to get prepared. And thanks for joining us. And everybody have a good Sunday or Monday, wherever you are. And have a good week. And tune into my vlog sometime tomorrow. Bye bye for now.
Bye.